This is the Player to Pro podcast where every pitch of every game matters and where players, parents, and coaches come together to win both on and off the field. All right, so we are on. This is the first time we are doing the Player to Pro podcast on video, and we actually will have the recording on the Player to Pro podcast on iTunes as well, and wherever you guys can find us. You can find us on our website at baseballutility.com as well. But we have a really special guest on the show tonight, and just not only was I a fan of Erik Kratz as a teammate, but just watching him play the game, watching him go about his business, playing against him, being on the same field as him, and it just really neat to have him on today. And Kratzy he's got quite the resume. He actually is going to attain the goal that I always set for myself since college, and that was to play until I'm 40 years old. And Kratzy has the opportunity to do it this year. And Kratzy, do you just want to give us a little background of yourself, of your playing career, just so people understand a little bit more about you?
Yeah, no doubt. First time on, but long-time fan of Adam Rosales. That's why I came on. Huge fan. The guy was he was a baller the whole time. We always played against each other, and then we had an opportunity to play together for a little bit. But about me, I come from a small town in Pennsylvania, and I went to a small college, and I got the opportunity to get drafted in the 29th round. I like to tell people I'm the 29th overall pick by the Blue Jays, but it sounds a lot cooler than 29th round. And I've always just, you can look on Baseball Reference how many years I've played and all this stuff, but I've always just viewed my opportunity to play from being drafted, even playing in college, and then, all the way up to the big leagues. Just a blessing to have the opportunity to play. Something that's always been a goal of mine, but my goals have changed during the time that I've played, and always kind of adapt. So it's something that I just feel like the things I've experienced, the people I've met in baseball have been just an incredible experience.
And it's awesome to have you on, Kratzy. I know a lot of these people that are tuning in and following us will definitely benefit from what you're going to share with us today. But obviously, so Kratzy went down to spring training this year with the New York Yankees. So he was down. Did you actually go down to Tampa this year to go? Were you're actually in? Yeah, because you obviously reported you're down there for what, about a month, right?
Probably, yeah, a little over a month. We were actually there close to 6 weeks.
Yeah, so you were down there for a while. Yeah, because I'm out, like right now. It was my last year playing last year, so I'm kind of out of when everything went down. But obviously, you had the COVID-19. All of us, the A's. I'm a coach for the Oakland A's. They sent me home about 2 weeks ago. And what was it like in Tampa with the Yankees organization when they told you, "Hey, we're going to shut this down"?
Well, first of all, you don't have it. You said you have it. I don't have it. They just send us home. They just send us home. I don't want anybody freaking out on your podcast. No, but it's something that it's honestly been a crazy transition. I don't think any different for anybody else. I kind of started. They had our first meeting about it, and it was just kind of informative. The do's and don'ts, what to look for, and how to handle it, how you can get it, all that stuff. And the doctor that came in did a great job of expressing to us the importance of doing the right things. And, we kept playing, we kept practicing, and, everything kind of was as normal. But then we actually had a game, just a little 3-inning inter squad, and after the 3-inning inter squad was over, they called us in and they were like, "All right, everyone off the field. Nobody's working out. Nobody's doing anything." And that was the first serious meeting we had about it. And it was something that it was like, okay, well, maybe this is kind of overblown, and I'm not a big, like, I don't follow a lot of current events. So at that point I was like, I got to check it out and see what's going on. And then you start every day. It feels like you learn something new about it, and every day you learn something that somebody fabricates. And so you try to figure out what is best for everybody. What's the best thing for me as a baseball player to do. And I think that's how me and my family are really handling it. And I think the Yankees are handling it that way too.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, when I was the same way you were, I'm like, it's kind of blown out of proportion. Wait, what's really going on? But then when the thing that caught my attention was when Donovan Mitchell got it from the Utah Jazz, like being in the NBA and how the NBA shut down. I'm like, I think I could just see the MLB shutting down right afterwards. So that's how that. I couldn't believe it. I was like, holy cow, what's going on? But it takes a lot for the MLB to shut down. So I'm like, all right, this is pretty serious. And it's like you said, you learn something new every day about it. But like for you, Kratzy, like this is, you're going into you're gonna be 40 years old this year. Like I said, that was my goal in my life in my baseball career since college to play till I'm 40. How does it affect you as a veteran major leaguer, veteran professional ball player? How does it affect you? How are you going to take that?
You know what? I've never felt like the whole age thing has really been something that has affected me. I think, people would watch me prepare for a game, and it might be different than my 13-year-old who prepares for a game. You can just go out there, pick the baseball up, and throw it over that mountain over there. But it's something that the more I've learned from playing, the more I know how to prepare myself to be in the best spot to play in that game. But the thing you learn, and Adam, you know this as well as anybody, that the more you play, the more the game wears on your body. So I think a lot of guys have the choice. They can either put the time into the resources into figuring out how to be 100% every day, or they can just let the season and quote their age wear on them. And it's been something that I've been fortunate to play with a lot of guys that have played really well into the end of their career. And besides the work, because if you don't put the work in, it doesn't matter how old you are, you're not gonna get anything out of it. But besides the work, it's really more of just the mentality of these guys that have had success later in their careers. It's the mentality of, well, age really, like, you just kind of dismiss age. Age doesn't really apply, and people be like, well, what about this? When I'm 40, this hurts and that hurts. I'm sure it does, but what, for me, it's nutrition, it's sleep, it's recovery items. Do I need to have, do I need to get a massage or Normatex for the legs? There's so many things that go into it that I've learned over the years. Like being with the Indians, I took away from there how much sleep and hydration really helped. Being with, playing with Raul Ibanez, I really learned nutrition. And then Chase Utley, I learned a lot of nutrition stuff from him. Obviously not nutritionists, but they're guys that were applying what they preached in their everyday play at an older age in their career.
So you sound like you got it figured out in the sense with the mentality part of it. No, I mean, I don't like us. We know we don't have it figured out. We have a lot to learn still in every facet of life. But I'm saying, like, you do have a great understanding of the mental side of the game, what it takes, and how to prepare yourself physically because you have that experience. But what about these young players that are going through this right now? They just got done with their off-season training. Some of these guys are about to make the big league club. They don't know, they're on the fence, and now they get shut down, and it goes back almost like to the off season again. These young players don't really have Some of them do. Some of them got it figured out in a sense. But what about those guys? How does this affect guys like that could be breaking into the big leagues this year?
You know what? I think it's a it's another step in the development of their career. I think it's something that there's a lot of players that get to the big leagues and have success at a young age that are just way better players than I ever was or am right now. And so they can miss out on doing some things that I feel like I have to do to be able to play at that level. Now, can they do that for their entire career? Absolutely not. But I think that's part of the maturation. It's part of the significant increase in how a player improves himself as a superstar, as an average player, or as a below average player who, finds his way onto big league teams every year. But, for a young guy, for a guy, like let's say you were drafted last year and you're coming into your first spring training, this is just another thing on your scope of it being completely overwhelming, because it's not like college. And but I also, I'll take the positive side of it too, is, now you're going to be asking minor leaguers, instead of playing 140 games their first year out of college when they had been playing, 60, 75 max, I'm not sure, with summer ball, maybe a little bit more. Now they're normally hopping in and playing 140 games with 2 days off in a minor league season. So the positive side of minor league season, they'll be able to hop in and maybe play 80 to 100 games, and it'll be a nice transition season. And, I think there's same with the big leagues, guys that are trying to, how it is when you first made it up to the big leagues to your last day, you're always like, I gotta prove that I can do it. I gotta show them I need to do that, and that mentality, as soon as you let that mentality creep into your game, it's going to be really tough. It's going to be really tough.
That's a great point, man. But I like how you say it. This is just like we always said, the saying in baseball, it's just part of it, right? It's part of it's grind, embrace the suck, right? It's going to suck, but you got to find a way to find the silver lining as well. And you mentioned the college players. Like for me, I heard, I'm not sure if it's true. I know Major League Baseball is trying to figure out what to do with this whole situation, and the MLBPA, they're trying to collaborate and come together. Well, what to do? But I think I heard they're only going to have the draft is only going to be 5 rounds this year, or it's like they're talking about the draft only being out. Kratz, I know you're 26th overall. Is that what you were? 26th? 29. Oh, 29. I'm so sorry. I was in the 12th round, and I was a senior sign out of college. If this happens in 2005, I might not have my career, or it's a lot different path I'm gonna have to take
to get there.
But you know what, and maybe this is a naivest attitude, or maybe this is, I need to see, maybe I need to just be more realistic and negative. Like you said, embrace the suck. I don't necessarily, I don't go by that. Like I go by what can I grab? What can I grasp out of today that is going to be awesome for me? Because something's going to go wrong. So like with the draft, only 5 rounds. Now all of a sudden Adam Rosales is still available, and you're up there. Now Erik Kratz is still available. This might not apply for the Erik Kratz being available as a senior sign out of Division III college in Virginia. But this is like this is a maybe this is an opportunity for that 12th round pick, Adam Rosales, to get a few extra thousand as a free agent sign, because all those kids are now going to be free agents.
True.
And because they're going to need players to play. They're still going to need players to play. So I think guys who are, I'm not going to get drafted, I didn't have my senior year. Yeah, that's tough. I feel for those guys, because if I didn't have my senior year, no team would have picked me up. Absolutely. But I think there's a positive to it, that I think teams still need those players. Now they might not need the 29th round pick, but they definitely still need a 12th round pick. And as a player, if you're a player listening to this, that doesn't affect you. Like, they're going to pick you, you do what you can, and you make the most out of your long career like the last 12th round pick in 2005 did.
Kratzy, that's such a great attitude. I parallel that same kind of attitude throughout my whole entire career. I just know it's a saying to embrace the suck and to, it's just part of it. It's kind of fun to laugh at sometimes because it does. It's a lot of tough stuff, but I think players like you and me, we had to find that silver lining. We had to find something positive out of every day to get through, and obviously that's how you endure to the end, and to really enjoy your career. But I don't know. And I also think about like the seniors in high school, like how this could affect this whole shutdown. But I want to get your take on that. I mean, their season's done basically. They're trying to say that they might resume sometime, but like, if Major League Baseball doesn't resume, how could high school resume, right?
Yeah. I don't know how they would, other than that there's less fans that go there.
True.
I don't know. Yeah, and everybody. It's a touchy subject because everybody's like, well, there's people who are sick in the hospitals right now, and
right.
you're talking about baseball.
That's a great point. Yeah.
But it is legitimately. I mean, I think that's unfair to those kids because they are still kids. Like, It's a legitimate thing that they're probably wanting some semblance of an answer or some semblance of. So as adults, I think we need to talk about it. We need to understand that those kids, they worked hard for it. I know as a high school senior, I worked hard for it. As a college senior, I had worked hard for it.
Yeah. I mean, and that's what kind of want to segue into want to talk about. How do you, like, right now you still have to work hard because you're still looking to still play in the major leagues. You still have a shot to play in the major leagues this year and to play. I think the Olympics are shut down, but Kratzy, you're qualified for the U.S. team, right?
I was on the qualifying team. We were gonna go try to qualify again in the end of March here. Right now, we should have just finished. So yeah, we'll see. But yeah, you gotta stay ready. You definitely have to stay ready.
Yeah. How do you stay in shape while, like, how do you, especially you can't go to a lot of kids that I talk to are in Chicago, or some kids are, up north in Canada. Like, there's nowhere to go. You can't go inside a facility. So how do you stay in shape? Like, and what's the most important thing to keep in shape, you think?
Oh man, one most important thing is everything.
I know.
I think everybody that relies on other people to tell them what to do, I think probably have a little bit more of a difficulty during this time staying in shape. I've been fortunate that I've developed a plan that some people have helped me, that then I've kind of taken it on my own to really, basically I've worked out by myself for years. Not that I've developed all my plans on my own, but I worked out by myself for years. And I was fortunate that this last year we moved to a new house, and instead of joining a gym this off season, I built my own gym in the basement. So it could not have paid off more, because I got to see how working out for an entire off season in a basement gym, which obviously isn't, it's not a Gold's gym, it's not a performance enhancing facility, but I have everything that I need. And I felt incredible coming into spring training. So I know it worked. So for me, I just hop back in there and I get back after it. Like, for me, it's like December right now, and I'm getting ready for a February spring training.
What about your arm? Like, how to keep your arm in shape, or does that come back pretty quick for you?
No, I gotta keep my arm in shape. I was trying to flip my video around here to see I'll show you what see if you can see.
Oh, wow.
I got a nice long.
That's
I got a
awesome.
nice long toss area here.
You got a whole baseball field, man.
Yep, we got 2 acres in the back here, so it's something that
Yeah, that's beautiful, man. That's awesome.
So
Is it a fire pit?
it's something that
we're gonna party at Kratz's house.
Yeah, come on. Wait, no parties,
Social distancing.
Social distancing. No, it's something that I throw there, and then I have a cage too, so I'm able to long toss and keep my arm in shape. I haven't been throwing every day, but I wouldn't throw every day in December either. So if I'm planning on going back middle of May, I'll plan my throwing out to be ready to go middle of May, because a lot of starters come into spring training and they kind of use that time to ramp up. Well, as you know, you got to be ready day one. They say you ain't making the team day one, but you sure as heck are getting cut day one. That's for sure. If you show up and you look like you're not ready, they'll be like, what's happened to Adam? Oh, well, he got a year older, so his arm is probably not in good shape. He looks like he lost a step. You don't got time for that. And that's okay. I'm okay with that.
That's a great point, though, man. I love it. So I talked to a parent and a player on the podcast a couple months ago about how they stay in shape. What's the most important thing that her name is Julie and her son's name is Shane. And what's the best thing that her son can do to stay in shape? She wanted me to answer that. Well, I asked, what does he enjoy doing, or what does he think is best for him, or what does she think? And she says running, doing a lot of like cardio stuff, was really good for him. Now, do you do any cardio stuff? Do you do a lot of to keep your legs underneath you?
I don't do a lot of running.
Yeah.
I do cardio things post workout, so I'll lift. It never, like, my cardio would never get in the way of my lifting, my weightlifting. I think it would kind of depend on what Shane's age is. I think it would depend on what he enjoys too. If you say, like you said, you say, all right, well, you gotta run to stay in shape. Okay. He's like, I hate running. All right. Well, what's another way that you can stay in shape? But you have to run. Maybe basketball. Maybe you can get a soccer ball out and kick and run after a soccer ball. I think there's a lot of stuff. For me, I've developed things that I like to do, but I also know things that I don't like to do are probably pretty good for me too. It usually is coincided. The things that I really need, I don't like to do. And so I got to make sure I still work that stuff in.
No, that's great. And it's a game of adjustments, like you said, Shane might like doing it and Julie finds it really important to do for him. But man, if you don't enjoy doing it, you got to find a way to make an adjustment and still get your cardio in, because it's really important. For me, it was not just because it kept my legs underneath me, but the cardio actually helped me mentally too, to break through a barrier. Even if it's just running a mile and be like, I need to run it under 7.5 minutes before I start my workout. I'm it really helped me set the tone for the day. So, but I really don't like running, but I felt like mentally the benefits I got from it, I was buying into it. But
for sure, I love that. I love the mental aspect of it. And I think your competitive nature comes out too when you do something like that. If I get on a bike and I have a screen in front of me of other bikers that are not even real people, just computer bikers, I have to pass every one of them. I can't let any of those pass me. It's such a elementary competitive spirit, but I just love doing that.
Is there any way, okay, so that's the training aspect of it. Is there any way that you bring that competitive spirit into the batting cage while you're hitting in the off season? Do you find a way to compete, or how do you do that?
Oh, we play different games in the cage that we have up above our garage here. We have a machine that shoots these little golf balls.
Yeah.
and different spots on the wall, different spots on the ceiling that if you hit it up there, you can't pop it up and hit it. That's a homer, that's a double, that's a ground ball out, and you can play those games. You can play them. Everyone's like, well, I don't have a team that I can play them with. No, a team gets in your way. If your team is there for an hour, then that means you probably get 20 swings. If you're there by yourself for an hour, you might get 250 swings.
Right.
And so you can play games on your own. If you're honest with yourself, you can be like, oh man, yesterday I only hit 10 line drives out of 50 balls. Today I hit 20 line drives out of 50 balls.
Right.
The next day you try, when are you going to get to 50 out of 50? And then when you do, if you're truly competitive and you're using your competitive, honest self, you're gonna be like, all right, I'm gonna get 100 perfect every single, and that's what keeps you playing until you're
40.
39.
Well, I ask you because I talked to another parent and his son. I talked to David and his son Noah about how he was concerned about Noah bringing his game swing or his practice swing that he has in the cage. How do you transfer that into the game? How do you bring your A swing from practice, and when the lights turn on, how do you bring that into the game? And I think that's where it starts, right, Kratzy? To compete, make it this, try to simulate that pressure maybe you put on yourself, that competition. 'Cause I think that's what kind of, I don't think it's anything mechanical. For me personally, I could be wrong about that, but
I don't think it is. And if you're being honest with yourself, especially as a young hitter, whatever that stage is, if you're just in, if you're in little league, you're in a high school senior, college senior, if you're honest with yourself, what your mentality is when you get into the game. I know that guy's throwing a little bit harder. I was a little afraid he was going to hit me. And you can self-evaluate so much better when you're honest with yourself. And being honest with yourself, hey, there's a little scooter rider behind the. If you're being honest with yourself, you can make strides in making your practice translate into the game. And I think sometimes video really helps too. Video of the game. Not just what your dad says. Oh, my dad said I did this. And you really changed your entire swing? Or were you like, holy cow, I never saw a lefty that throws from that angle and he was throwing 98. I'm afraid he's going to hit me. And that's, if you ask any pro, that thought has definitely gone through your head. And that alone can affect your play.
Oh,
so
my gosh,
it's something that you have to be honest with yourself and really know where your mental state was, and then continue to work on the drills that you have. I think the drills that you have in work are just drills. They're just drills to make you consistently take the same swing at the same path to different balls, and that's huge.
I love that, man. No, that's so important because I feel like that's such a hurdle. I mean, I've struggled with it too a little bit. Bringing that A swing, I feel great in practice and then get in the game, and I don't feel what I want to feel, and vice versa. There's been times where I practice and I feel terrible, and I come into the game and I go 3 for 4 with a couple bombs. Kratzy knows all about me hitting bombs. I'm just kidding. No, but that was yeah. Especially this time for these high school players, for these college players, even pro guys, that they're gonna be practicing a lot off the tee. They're gonna be doing their own stuff. How do you make sure that you're still practicing with a purpose? That when the time comes, when this virus dissipates, that when you get back in the game, you can bring that A swing into the game. I think it's so important. And to be honest with yourself is such a solid point, and to maintain that routine. And I also talked to kind of shift gears a little bit, but keep the same idea that these players are doing this on their own, especially high school, the resources and for these high school, college, even pro guys. I talked to Tiffany and her son Casey a while ago about how her son is a 4.0 student, right? And I'm like, how do you become a 4.0 student? And I'm like, do you go to the library? Yes. Do you stay after class and ask your teacher for extra help? Yes, I do. So if you could be a 4.0 student in school, my question is, how do you become a 4.0 student in baseball, especially this time where we're in quarantine, whatever, self-isolated? How do you make sure that you still reach out to resources? How could you still develop that 4.0 baseball player mentality? And if you even believe in that, Kratzy, but it was just a point I made for Tiffany and Casey. You can be a 4.0 baseball student.
I think, well, I mean, I don't know much about 4.0. I'd have to find like 2 other kids to add our GPAs together for me to get a 4.0. But I think it definitely applies the exact same way. And I apply it because I wasn't very good at school, but my parents didn't accept that. So they said, all right, well, if you can't get your GPA up over a 3, then I don't think we're going to have enough time to play baseball. And somehow, miraculously, I found a way to get my GPA up over a 3. So it wasn't necessarily that I had some learning disabilities, dyslexia, inhibited my reading. I could still read, but it was something that inhibited it. But you know what it took me? It took me way more concentration and way more time to complete those tasks.
Right.
And I did it because I remember my parents saying that if I didn't, I wasn't going to be able to play baseball. So I had put the priority of baseball on a pedestal for my life. I had a goal of playing in the big leagues, even as a kid in high school. And so the same mentality that I put into trying to get my GPA up to a 3 is the same mentality I've really put into baseball. I definitely admitted that I didn't have all the answers. I definitely knew that it wasn't going to come easy, but it was something that what's some way that I can get a little bit better. I think in the land of heavy ball training and drive line hitting and weighted bats and unweighted bats and all that stuff, everybody wants to go like this and get this much better at baseball. But what if, because at the end of this comes that, what if every day, and it's no better example than right now in the quarantine, if we're quarantined for another 60 days, what if right now I told you could get 60% better by the end of the quarantine? I think everybody would be on board. And I would say, how can you get better 1% every single day? And if you do that, this doesn't turn into that. It is always just a slow incline of improving at everything. Like you can't get a 4.0 by just doing one math paper incredibly well. You have to do math really well. You have to do science really well. You have to do social studies really well. And you have to get an A in gym. You might not like gym, but you got to get an A in it, So it's the same with baseball. How can you get just a little bit better? Maybe right now you can't have 6 games on a weekend with your travel team where you stand out in right field all by yourself. Maybe you get to watch a YouTube video because you're allowed extra screen time and you don't watch, the backyardigans. You watch Adam Rosales hitting a home run against the Indians, playing for the A's, that hit off the fence and wasn't called a home run.
I think you Angel Hernandez, right?
No, it's a great point, man. Just about the whole, the whole umbrella of you have to be at every aspect. You can't just get 100 on your math test. You have to be good at math, science, even gym, you said, just a solid point. Yeah, just to find, seek out those resources. I mean, was there any, like, is there any way that when you play, like studying video maybe, like, when you look at these, say you were a kid and watching YouTube videos, or right now, is there something you would pick out of a video, or like watch for, or watch a player do, besides some sweet bat flip or something?
That is what everybody wants to look at. That's what more people probably think about what kind of bat flip they're going to do when they hit their first home run in Little League than they do actually hitting that first home run in Little League. So what I'd pick out, I'd pick something out that you feel like you don't like about your swing and see if someone else does it differently. And, and if you're talking about a swing specifically, if you're talking about your, basically anything I'd say to pick out is to be honest.
Yeah.
Like pitchers want to look at mechanics of certain pitchers, and that's why they're successful. Well, you know why else they're successful? Because they throw strikes and they get back on the mound. They have good pace. Sometimes the best pitchers in the world don't have the best stuff every day. Sometimes, just like Rosie said about swinging, you didn't have your best swing, but you have an opportunity that day to do as well as you can. And it's no different now as in quarantine. I feel like half my career has been in quarantine. I've played so little that, I'm always looking for different ways to improve. And is the one thing going to be the way that you improve? No, it's not the one thing, but it's part of the whole package of things that's going to help you improve.
Right. There's no question. That's fantastic, Kratzy. This has been great. And before, because I know this is going to be on the podcast as well. So, Kratzy, you said this and this. So Kratzy, what he made hand signals saying that you're going to increase really quick, but after that increase, or you're going to improve really quick, and then right afterwards, what could happen? You could just slope right back down to where you were, instead of just gradually building like a nice gradual line going up. And that's like the visual that Kratzy wanted to give everybody. But, well, Kratzy, with that said, thank you so much for being on, and we're going to do this again. Obviously, we have a lot of time right now. So, and thank you all for tuning in and for being a part of the Baseball Utility family. And whenever you guys have a chance, don't forget to subscribe to the YouTube channel as well. And we have the webinars we're doing every Thursday nights for right now, and we're going to try to keep that going. I did 10 weeks in a row. And since we have more time, I'm going to try to keep that going as well. So anyway, you guys can follow us on Instagram or, like I said, YouTube as well. It'd be fantastic. And again, thank you guys so much for being on, and we will talk to you guys soon. Have a good one.